8 billion and counting. Written by Cynthia Kennedy Hensel. Focus question: what factors are contributing to human overpopulation, and how does this affect Earth? Table of contents: a giant mystery, how many are too many, a recent problem, the growth spurt, technology to the rescue, the good news, an uncertain future, enough for everyone, an island in space, glossary. A giant mystery. When a group of people settled Rapa Nui, Easter Island in the Pacific Ocean, they cleared trees for homes and fields. With plenty of fish, wildlife, crops, the population grew. They called Moai, huge human fingers of stone, and raised them along the coast. Then around the year 1680, the carving stopped and the population dropped. What happened? One theory is that the Rapa Nui used up many of the resources as the population grew too large. Resources and natural things in our environment that help us live, such as food, clean water, energy. At one time, the island was able to provide a small population with food, water, and wood for building. During this time, the people may have used the trunks of trees like wheels to move the huge stones. Eventually, though, the population grew too large for everyone to get what they needed. The forests were all gone. Many of the people died because they used up their resources. Many people today think the 8 billion humans on Earth are using up the planet's resources in much the same way. We will meet the same end as the people of Rapa Nui. How many are too many? If you look around you, Earth may not seem crowded. There are empty houses, fields, and forests. Even New York City, with an average of 29,000 to 7. Oh my god, this is so confusing. 29,729 people per square mile, still has room for parks. Overpopulation is not a problem of space. Rather, it is a problem of not having enough resources. Overpopulation means that people have gone beyond the environment's carrying capacity, the largest number that can live in a place without using up the resources they need in order to survive. Scientists estimate Earth's carrying capacity at between 2 and 40 billion people. Why is such a wide estimate? Because the carrying capacity depends on how many resources each person uses. If everyone on Earth lived the way most Americans live, Earth could only support 2 billion people. That's because high-income countries like the United States and those in Western Europe use most of the world's resources. Those living in low-income countries use only a small share. 3/4 of the world's people live in middle-income countries, where more and more countries and resources are being used. Two of these countries are China, upper middle, and India, lower middle, each with more than a billion people. If everyone on Earth used only what we needed to stay alive, our planet could support 40 billion people. Other species could be pushed out, however, and life would be hard. A recent problem? Experts suspect the kind of collapse that led to the decline of the Rapa Nui has happened to many civilizations. In the Middle East, where farming began about 10,000 years ago, populations soared with more food from irrigating crops. However, irrigation can erode soil or leave enough salt in soil to kill crops. This land, once known as the Fertile Crescent because it could grow so much food, wore out. Over time, the theory goes the carrying capacity of the land is decreased and the ancient civilization disappeared. As populations go beyond their carrying capacity, the result can be starvation, the spread of disease, the destruction of the environment, and worse as people find for scarce resources. If they can, some people leave to find new resources. The Rapa Nui could not leave because the nearest neighbors were thousands of miles across the ocean and had no wood left to build canoes. As the European population boomed in the 1800s, people moved to the Americas and Australia. The growth spurt. In 1800s, 1 billion people lived on Earth. It took humans 120,000 years to reach that number. By 1927, just 127 years later, we had doubled that number. 30 years later, in 1960, we tripled it. 3 billion people. The year 2022 saw the 8 billionth person on the planet, and the population is still growing at more than 200,000 people each day. The population explosion began with the new technology of the Industrial Revolution from 1760 to 1850. New farming practices, manufacturing, and railroads changed the way people lived. More food and better distribution meant that more children survived and people were healthier. More people moved from farms to cities in order to work in factories. At the same time, scientists discovered the causes of many diseases and ways to save thousands of lives. More children survived to adulthood, which meant that more adults were around to have more children. The human population boomed. Technology to the rescue. The human population might have grown faster than its ability to grow food, but in the 1940s, the Green Revolution began. Scientists developed special seeds so farmers could produce more food. They developed chemicals to control insects and plant diseases. Places once unfit for farming could now grow food with chemical fertilizers and irrigation. This new farming technology spread across the globe, allowing even low-income countries to grow more food. It brought a threefold increase to food production. Some people believe that this kind of human invention would allow the population to grow forever. Yet new technology brought new problems. More water was needed for irrigation. Chemicals used for growing crops polluted food and water and poisoned the environment. Some people realized that we were destroying the planet we depend on for life. Of course, some resources are renewable. They can be replaced, some trees can be planted. The sun and wind offer huge supplies of energy. Water is constantly renewed through the water cycle. Only 2.5% of Earth's water is refreshed, however. Of that small amount, two-thirds is frozen in glaciers. The amount of available fresh water is less than 1% of the water on Earth. Fresh water is not everywhere on the planet either. 1/4 of people, mostly in Africa and parts of Asia, do not have a safe source of drinking water. 70% of available fresh water is used for irrigation. In the United States, underground water in the West is pumped into fields faster than it can replace. The mighty Colorado River stops short of the sea because so much water is taken for irrigation and cities. As water becomes scarce, much of the cropland that feeds the world will become desert. Some Earth sources like coal, copper, and other metals can't be renewed. These resources take millions of years to form, so they can be replaced once they are used up. China consumes the most coal by far. The United States consumes the most oil, and more than a share, with less than 5% of the world's people, it uses 20% of the world's oil. An ecosystem is another resource that can be renewed. Ecosystems do the work that keeps our planet healthy. Swamps clean water and reduce flooding, grasslands form rich soils, and forests balance the atmosphere. Yet heavy use of wood and farmland is destroying many important ecosystems. Nearly two-thirds of Earth's tropical rainforest, the most diverse ecosystems, are gone. Thousands of plant and animal species become extinct each year. We cannot bring them back. Our planet is warming too. Burning fossil fuels such as oil and coal releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, trapping more heat on Earth's surface and changing ecosystems around the world. Already, we have seen melting polar ice caps, spreading deserts, and water weather. These trends cannot easily be reversed. The good news. By 2010, the global population growth rate has slowed down from a high of 2.2% to 1.1% per year. In many high-income countries, population growth has actually stopped or reversed. The birth rate is now below the replacement rate of 2.1% per woman. The replacement rate is the average number of children born per woman that over time will create a stable population. More people are becoming aware that Earth has limited resources. Renewable sources of energy, such as wind and solar power, are being developed. In many countries have passed laws for cleaner air and water as well as protection for ecosystems. In some places, forests have increased, although the ecosystems of old forests are often lost, even when new trees are planted. An uncertain future. is but the good news. The world's population continues to grow, mostly in low income countries. The United States nations the United Nations predicts a population of nearly 10 billion people by 2050. By most estimates, this is almost twice the number of people who can live on Earth in a sustainable way. But no matter which estimate you believe, everyone now agrees that the human population cannot keep growing forever without destroying the planet. Lowering birth rates is critical. If high-income countries can share Earth's resources more fairly, it can actually help lower the global Earth birth rate. How might they do this? First, educate women. When women are educated and given control over deciding the size of the family, they tend to have fewer children. Second, make sure that children got better health care, clean water, and good food. Families generally have fewer children if they believe the children they help will survive. Third, governments can provide help for elderly and sick people so parents will know someone who will take care of them when they're old. Enough for everyone. Consider the United States. Because it has gone past its carrying capacity, Americans must bring in resources from other countries to keep up their standard of living. With 8 billion people on Earth, we need many more planets for everyone to live, like most people in the United States. Everyone in the world can have enough to eat, however, if people in high income countries eat smarter and waste less. For example, grain in the world's most important source of food, yes, meat production has boomed for high middle income countries. A third of the grain grown worldwide is used to live livestock. It takes a lot of grain to create 1 pound of meat. Eating less meat means more grain for people in low income countries and protection of valuable grasslands. While China surpassed the United States in total energy use in 2009, average Americans use more food and far more water than they need to survive. They are the world's biggest consumers. They could instead be the world's most efficient consumers if they make intelligent choices about how they live. Now let's do the quiz.
Good job.
I'm so excited about this part. So the things I learned from the story of the people of Rapa Nui is that when they use up their Earth's resources, they go extinct. And the same with our planet right now. If we're using up all the Earth resources, we will experience a sixth mass extinction. So remember that. It depends.
We need a little more practice. Click on the items with the red.
3 mistakes. First, we have it's not salt, is removed from soil. Sustainable. The birth rate.
Great job on a perfect